Penguin Random House Audio presents The Big Picture on the origins of life, meaning, and the universe itself. This is the author, Sean Carroll. Prologue. Only once in my life have I been truly close to dying. My judgment was a bit off. It was dark, the traffic was heavy. An inattentive driver on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles veered in front of me to avoid an exit ramp, and I swerved to avoid him. The enormous 18-wheeler in the lane to my left wasn't as far back as I had thought. The very last inch of my back bumper caught the very front corner of the truck's cab. That was enough. I lost all control of my car, which executed a slow and stately counterclockwise turn, ending with my driver's side flush into the front of the truck, still speeding down the freeway. It was slow and stately from my perspective anyway. I felt as if I were trapped in amber, watching helplessly as my car moved of its own volition until it nestled against the truck's grill, perpendicular to the direction of traffic, a blinding headlight shining in my face. I was shaken but unhurt. The car was a bit rumpled, and it needed some serious work in the body shop, but it was able to drive me home once all the police reports had been filled out. A few inches here, a change of speed there, a bit more panic on the part of the truck driver, things could have been very different. Many of us come close to dying long before we do die. We confront the finitude of our lives. In my professional capacity as a physicist, I study the universe as a whole. It's a big universe. 14 billion years after the Big Bang, the region of space we can directly see is populated by a few 100 billion galaxies, averaging 100 billion stars each. We human beings, by contrast, are quite tiny, a recent arrival on an insignificant planet orbiting a nondescript star. Whatever the outcome of my freeway misadventure had been, my lifetime would be measured in decades, not in billions of years. A person is a diminutive, ephemeral thing, standing smaller in comparison with the universe than a single atom stands in comparison with the Earth. Can any one individual existence really matter? In some sense, it obviously can. I live a fortunate life, with family and friends who care about me and who would be extremely upset were I to die. I myself would be quite unhappy if I somehow knew ahead of time that my life was going to end. But from the perspective of a vast, seemingly indifferent cosmos, does it really matter all that much? I like to think that our lives do matter, even if the universe would trundle along without us. But we have to respect the question and work hard to understand how our desire to matter fits in with the nature of reality at its deepest levels. A friend of mine, a neuroscientist and biologist, can make individual cells young again. Scientists have developed techniques for taking stem cells in the adult human body, which have aged and taken on some more mature characteristics, and reverse aging them until they are just like newborn stem cells. There's a long road from cells to complete organisms. So I asked her, half-jokingly, whether we would someday be able to reverse age human beings and potentially keep them young forever. You and I are going to die someday, she mused. But if either of us has grandchildren, I wouldn't be so sure. Now that's thinking like a biologist. As a physicist, I know it doesn't violate any laws of nature to imagine living beings lasting for millions or even billions of years, so I have no objection there. But eventually, all of the stars will have exhausted their nuclear fuel, their cold remnants will fall into black holes, and those black holes will gradually evaporate into a thin gruel of elementary particles in a dark and empty universe. We won't really live forever, no matter how clever biologists get to be. Everybody dies. Life is not a substance like water or rock. It's a process like fire or a wave crashing on the shore. It's a process that begins, lasts for a while, and ultimately ends. Long or short, our moments are brief against the expanse of eternity. We have two goals in front of us. One is to explain the story of our universe and why we think it's true, the big picture as we currently understand it. It's a fantastic conception. We humans are blobs of organized mud, which through the impersonal workings of nature's patterns have developed the capacity to contemplate and cherish and engage with the intimidating complexity of the world around us. To understand ourselves, we have to understand the stuff out of which we are made, which means we have to dig deeply into the realm of particles and forces and quantum phenomena, not to mention the spectacular variety of ways that those microscopic pieces can come together to form organized systems capable of feeling and thought. The other goal is to offer a bit of existential therapy. I want to argue that, though we are part of a universe that runs according to impersonal underlying laws, we nevertheless matter. This isn't a scientific question. There isn't data we can collect by doing experiments that could possibly measure the extent to which a life matters. It's at heart a philosophical problem, one that demands that we discard the way that we've been thinking about our lives and their meaning for thousands of years. By the old way of thinking, human life couldn't possibly be meaningful if we are just collections of atoms moving around in accordance with the laws of physics. That's exactly what we are, but it's not the only way of thinking about what we are. We are collections of atoms, operating independently of any immaterial spirits or influences, and we are thinking and feeling people who bring meaning into existence by the way we live our lives. We are small. The universe is big. It doesn't come with an instruction manual. We have nevertheless figured out an amazing amount about how things actually work. It's a different kind of challenge to accept the world for what it is, to face reality with a smile, and to make our lives into something valuable. In the first section of the book, Cosmos, we examine some important aspects of the wider universe of which we are a small part. There are many ways to talk about the world, which leads us to the framework called poetic naturalism. Naturalism claims that there is just one world, the natural world. We'll explore some of the indications that point us in that direction, including how the universe moves and evolves. Poetic reminds us that there is more than one way of talking about the world. We find it natural to use a vocabulary of causes and reasons why things happen, but those ideas aren't part of how nature works at its deepest levels. They are emergent phenomena, part of how we describe our everyday world. The difference between the everyday and deeper descriptions arises from the arrow of time, the distinction between past and future that can ultimately be traced to the special state in which our universe began near the Big Bang. In the second section, Understanding, we consider how we should go about trying to understand the world, or, at least, move closer and closer to the truth. We have to be willing to accept uncertainty and incomplete knowledge and always be ready to update our beliefs as new evidence comes in. We will see how our best approach to describing the universe is not a single, unified story, but an interconnected series of models appropriate at different levels. Each model has a domain in which it is applicable, and the ideas that appear as essential parts of each story have every right to be thought of as real. Our task is to assemble an interlocking set of descriptions based on some fundamental ideas that fit together to form a stable planet of belief. We then turn to essence, where we think about the world as it actually is, the fundamental laws of nature. We'll discuss quantum field theory, the basic language in which modern physics is written. We will appreciate the triumph of the core theory, the enormously successful model of the particles and forces that make up you, me, the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?